Taken a few weeks, but this is the first casualty of Donald Trump's administration. Less than a month after the new president took office, his pick for National Security Advisor, Michael Flynn, has resigned over his links to Russia. Flynn spoke to the Russian ambassador to the United States about sanctions imposed before Trump took office. As a civilian, it's illegal to conduct diplomacy under US law. But Michael Flynn was a controversial choice even before his dealings with Russian officials became known. He'd served in the US Army for more than 30 years and participated in several combat operations in Afghanistan and Iraq. In 2014, Flynn was fired from his position as the Pentagon intelligence chief. He said the decision was taken because of his outspoken criticism of the Obama administration and how it was prosecuting the war on Al-Qaeda and Daesh. Well, Flynn had been widely criticised for his stance on Islam. Back in August 2016, he called the religion a vicious cancer inside the body of 1.7 billion people. And recently, he had come under scrutiny for his connections to Russia. Well, in his resignation letter, Michael Flynn says he inadvertently briefed the vice president-elect with incomplete information about his phone call to the Russian ambassador. He blamed the fast-paced nature of events for that mistake. Well, for more on this, let's speak to William Denslow, who's joining us from New York. So, William, Michael Flynn has now resigned, and we've had that resignation letter come out, which he says he inadvertently, incorrectly briefed the vice president-elect. Surely the head of national security should know that his phone is going to be listened to when he has these conversations with Russian ambassadors.
Yeah, absolutely. You'd certainly think so. And according to Michael Flynn, in that statement, he said that he held numerous calls with ambassadors, with counterparts, with ministers, all to ensure a smooth transition of power, just stating that, as you mentioned, this incomplete information because of this fast pace of events. Of course, one thing from the Trump administration that's been banded by many critics is that there's just a lack of experience. That's one thing that many critics will certainly point to this decision as being a potential pitfall that they would experience. But of course, someone with so much experience, so much prestige, if you want to put it that way, in the military field, well, many would say that he should certainly know better. But he's certainly not stating that he did anything wrong, of course, when it comes to those conversations he had with Mike Pence, the vice president. He initially stated that he didn't discuss the issues of sanctions, backtracked from that, stating that it could have come up, it could not have come up. So he's certainly not an admission of guilt, not running away with his tail between his legs. However, he has come out in this resignation letter thanking the President Donald Trump for the opportunity and stating that he still has full confidence that the Trump administration can stay good and stay true to their promise to make America great again.
Well, the question now is what the Trump administration knew about Mike Flynn and his connections with Russia before he was appointed. These rumors have been swirling for a while. He was fired by the Obama administration and went straight to Russia and gave a speech for Russia Today. Surely they should have known that he had connections with the Russians, and their judgment is being questioned now.
Absolutely. Of course, this recent report initially coming out in the Washington Post citing the former US Attorney General that Mr. Flynn could have been compromised. He could have potentially been vulnerable because of these links to Russia. So that will certainly be a huge area of concern. It will certainly be an open wound for Democrats, opponents of President Trump, to attack. Of course, it's not just Michael Flynn that had been criticized of having a too cozy a relationship with Russia. Of course, President Trump himself has been criticized for being too cozy with Vladimir Putin. Of course, recently we had the release of this unverified dossier that makes the claim that the Kremlin have compromising material on President Trump. That's certainly something that both the Kremlin and President Trump have categorically denied, but still an area of concern. Now, of course, also the issue of the Secretary of State having been awarded a Medal of Merit back in Russia as well. That is a further kind of excuse of the potential links that the Trump administration do have with Russia. Now, the Trump administration, of course, stating that that's just coincidence, that has nothing to do with US policy, but critics will certainly use that as a point of attack.
Absolutely. So where do we go from here, Will. A new man has been appointed in the interim, a man by the name of Kellogg, but the Trump administration will just be hoping this kind of goes away pretty quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. Keith Kellogg, also a former veteran who served 2 tours of Vietnam, incredibly experienced. But yes, that's absolutely right. We understand that President Trump is meeting with Jim Mattis, his Secretary of Defense, to be pulling through potential new options to find a new national security advisor. Of course, this coming just days after a missile test from North Korea. So certainly plenty of issues for the Trump administration, and they'll certainly want to put this well and truly behind them.
Absolutely. OK, Will, for now in New York. Thanks.